Hi everybody, welcome to my new vlog. As you can see, we are back on the desktop of my computer. This means I don't have any footage for a real life flying vlog. Last weekend I was on a holiday, so I had no time to record a new vlog. So I decided to make something about flight simming. Some of you will already know I'm a very big fan of flight simming. I'm using Prepare to 3D and I fly almost every week 2 or 3 flights. So yeah, it's something I like to do. It's also something that drove me into real flying. So yeah, today we'll talk about how I plan my flights for flight simming. There are a few different ways to do so, so I will only discuss the manner I do uh, my flight planning. So I'm sure there are a lot of other ways to do it, but I'm only going to show the tools I'm using to plan my flight. The first thing we need to do is, we need to know which flight we will take or which destination we will fly to. So it's like the same in real world. You need to plan your flight. You need to know where you want to fly to. The main difference in Flight Simulator is you can choose your destination and your departure, of course. So yeah, how do I do that? I open my internet browser and I mainly use two websites for that. The first one is the Flight Radar 24. It's a very nice tool to see real life flights, but also look up flights that are already have been flown in the past. So that is one way to do it, or you can use the Flight Aware website. Is a little bit like Flight Radar 24, but you have also nice tools or live flight tracking. You can look up operators, airports, flights. So it's also a nice tool. But mainly I use the Flight Radar 24, and there are a few different ways to choose a flight or look up a flight. The first way is by a known flight number. If you already know, okay, I'm going to fly, for example, a flight from Luxair from Dubrovnik to Luxembourg. It's a flight I know, and you know the flight number. It's Lima Golf Lima 4 correction. You need to put it in the search box. Yuri, Lima Golf Lima 416. You can enter, look up the flights, and you hit play. You can look up the complete flight. You can see which altitude it was flown on. You can see the distance it took to fly the routing. You even see the squawk code, so it gives you a lot of info about that flight. That is one way. The other way is looking up a company. So you can, for example, hit the search box, enter Cargolux, and you can have a look at the Cargolux company. There you can look up the fleet, so you have an idea which aircrafts are in the fleet. You can hit a fleet, a registration number, and then you will see the flights that were flown by that registration number. Or you can have a look at the routing. So you have an idea, okay, Cargolux is flying a lot of routes, so I would like to fly, for example, to Zaragoza from Luxembourg. If you scroll down, you will see the flight number, hit the flight number, and you get again the same info as before. So that's the second way. The third way, I'm sure there are other ways also, but those are the three main ways I use. The third is by destination or arrival. You can look up, for example, I would like to depart from Manchester. So we'll select Manchester, and then you have an idea of the arrivals and departures into Manchester. The third one I don't use a lot. The two important things is by a known flight number or by company, and then I choose my flight. At the flight finder of the Flight Aware website, you can all do the same. You can enter your origin and destination, or you can look up flights by operator. What I in most cases do here is by aircraft type, and then I look up, for example, the Dash 84Q100. So it calculates all the flights that are now presently in the air. So you have a look, you have a pretty good idea what is flying around, and you can choose the flight if you want to from the list below, and it gives you also information if you hit one, which routing it is taking. Sometimes you can see the gate numbers. Sometimes here on the right side you find the route, like you can see here. That's mostly for Australian and American routes. European routes are mainly not visible. Also a history, so you have a lot of options to choose a flight. When you have chosen your flight, for example, I will go with the Lima Golf Lima 416. So I know from where I'm going to depart and where I'm going to land. Now it's time to plan our flight. For that I use Professional Flight Planner X from Aerosoft. It's a very nice tool. It's been developed by people who are in real life also flight planners, so it's a very nice tool. It's not cheap. You have to buy the application, and if you want to make use of the server database, it's a yearly fee you need to pay. It's around 12 euros for 1 year, so you can use the route database and the weather database. But it's you can perfectly use it without any subscription. The only thing you need to take into account is if you want to have weather on your flight plans, you will need to go to settings and add your weather engine file to the settings, so it can calculate your weather from the weather engine. So it makes sense that you need to start your weather engine also for flight planning. But I'm not going to go into detail about Professional Flight Planner X. It's a nice tool. There are a lot of videos online that explains how it works. So I'm only going to use it for the flight purpose of today. Let's clear that out first. So this is the view you will see if you open the PFPX. So what I do is go to flight and fill in the open boxes here. So I have the flight number. It's Lima Golf Lima 416. It gives you the flight number, and it automatically fills in a call sign for you. If you should see on the flight radar 24 if they used another call sign, for example LG41 X-ray or Delta, you can of course change that here in this box, but mainly it will fill in the boxes automatically. We fly from LDDU to Echo Lima Lima X-ray. So as you can see, it fills in some boxes automatically for you. It draws a line on the map. So now there are two things you can do to choose your runway. You can scroll over the LDDU arrow here. You can look up the weather. It's fairly good. It's a wind from 230 by 5 knots. So by this info you can choose runway 29, for example. And you can do the same for Luxembourg. You look at the weather, it's variable, so it's mainly going from the easterly direction, so you can choose, for example, 06. Or you can go again to flight radar, look up the airport, like this. It will highlight the airport, scroll down and have a look at the already departing aircrafts or arriving aircrafts if you have the luck of doing that in an airport that is busy. Here I don't see a lot of flights that were departing from Dubrovnik. Here we have one. So it departed from runway 12. That's because the wind factor was no issue. Thus the tailwind component was below the maximum demonstrated on the aircraft. So if you want to make it as real as it gets, you can choose the runway 11 here in PFPX, and we will land at runway 06 because we have easterly wind, so it will probably be 06. You can hit the taxi out and taxi in time. For busy airports, you should take a lot of time because that will add some taxi fuel to it. And the main other thing I always check is the time. Normally, I don't fly a lot in real time because I do a lot of long haul flights, and if you fly east or west, you know that you're flying with the sun or against the sun. So I mainly adjust the time of departure so I can depart in daylight and arrive in daylight. So that's the way I do it. In Europe, you can mainly leave it at a real time, or if I'm flying at the evening, here at home, I choose a time during daylight. So you have an idea of the estimated en route time. It's 2 hours and 10 minutes, but it takes not into account weather and so. So that gives you only an idea how long it could be. So we have a green box next to the flight. We go to aircraft. We will select our aircraft, Lima X-ray, Lima Golf Echo. We will optimize the altitude of flight level by fuel. Payload, I check the box here at the top, random payload. So I let PFPX choose it for me, or you can put it in yourself. Fuel, we are flying in Europe, so we're going to take the European regulations. And you can add extra time or extra fuel if you should have bad weather en route and you need to deviate from your route, so you can add some extra time. I'm not going to do that because if I look up the weather at the chart, I see a lot of green around my routing, so I predict that the weather will be fine here. The winds are also looking very good, so I don't need to take some extra fuel. The costs I leave blank. I don't use the costs in the PFPX. For the routing, I click find a route and it will find a route automatically, or I'm gonna clear it again. I go to find optimized route and minimum fuel. Those are the two options I mainly use to plan my flight. So you can see it will have generated a route for you. It gives you a sit and a star, and you can also adjust the route if you should want to do that. Alternates, same thing. I hit find alternate. Sometimes it will give you some strange alternates, but hey, it's Flight Simulator. I don't give a damn about where I should go if I should not if I not be able to land at Luxembourg. Mostly I will decide that en route, but for the planning purposes I hit the alternates that will be given automatically. If I fly long haul and for example the 747, what I mainly do is look at the runway length. I'm not going to land on a runway of 1500 meters with a 747 as alternate. You can put this in the parameters of your PFPX, but I always have a look at that and change it if possible. But okay, for this one I'm pretty happy about it. I have all green boxes, so I can hit the compute flight button. It will compute my flight and then validate flight plan. It will have a look at the servers online if your flight plan is valid. As you can see, I have a lot of warnings, but also a lot of question marks here, so explanation marks, sorry. So those are things, if you should fly real life and you should get some red, you need to adjust some things, or it's danger zones you are flying through, or it gives you additional info that you need to be aware of. But for flight simming purposes, I don't look at that. I only want to fly my flight like I generated. So I can release the flight, and then I have a look at you have a summary of every weights and times. but I mostly go to the operation flight plan page, where I find all the info I need, the fuel, the weight, zero fuel weight, passengers, and so on, the routing with the sit and star. So I have a look at that. If I'm happy with what I'm seeing, I'm going to check the weather. The weather looks fine at origin, destination, and en route and destination alternates. This looks good. No times. Sometimes I just have a quick look at it, but I don't use it in the flight simulator world. It's not something I use or you need to take into account when you're flying offline. If you're flying online, it's important to read them, because the ATC of VATSIM or EVAO will take into account the real life no time. So you need to have a look at that if you're flying online, but I don't do that. And the charts, you can have a look at the charts, the flight level you are flying, which winds you can expect, the destination area, you can check if everything is looking good there. Your route is plotted here, and the vertical profile, you can see we will have some light chops of turbulence here, but not too big. The orange and the red is not into our path. We are going to descend below here, so I'm happy with what I'm seeing. So if I'm happy, I can export my flight plan. So these are locations from add-ons like Avlasoft, the PMDG products, Prepare 3D folder, your flight sim folder. So yeah, you can hit export or save, and it will save a flight plan folder in each of one of them. And if this is okay, you can. What I do, you don't need to do that, but I do it. I hit print flight documents, and I save a PDF copy of all my flights I do during the year. So yeah, that is pretty much how I plan my flight in the PFPX tool. When I did all those actions, it's time for me to choose some charts. So for that, I'm using the Navigraph tool. Navigraph is a service, a paid service. You need to pay a fee to use it. So you can pay a fee for using the AirNav databases for your FMCs if you're using PMDG or other Quality Wings products. But you have also a full subscription. It's about 100 euros a year, and you have a full subscription on the AirNav databases, but also the chart databases. Currently, I'm using the beta version. I'm a beta tester for the new tool. That is only a tool that is online for the moment. They are developing the desktop tool for the beta version, but if you are not a beta tester, you can choose using the online tool or the desktop version. But we will go to Navigraph charts. You can see the layout, and here in the right bottom corner, it's the beta version of Navigraph. And what I need to do is I need to choose my flight, new flight, from flight plan, select the flight plan, and this is the flight plan I saved via PFPX in the prepared 3D folder. I take the Luxembourg, the Dubrovnik Luxembourg folder, and then you see that the route is drawn here at the top. We go to Lima Delta Delta Uniform, open the airport list, and we can start choosing our chart. So we need an airport chart, maybe also the chart for the parking positions. The standard instrument departure, it was giving the models to echo. So we go to models and we have a look to echo departure like that. And if something should go wrong and we need to turn back, we can land with the wind in our favor, so we can take the RNAV 29 if something goes really bad. Okay, now we do the same for Luxembourg. We will open the airport chart lists. The arrival is foreseen Betex 3 kilo, so we will choose the Bitex 3 kilo, pin that down to the clipboard below. The approach will be the ILS runway 06, we clip that also, and we also need some airport charts and parking charts. So this is how I choose my charts. Then I mostly go to my departure like that, and then I can overlay my departure chart so I know which way I need to fly. So this is basically how I choose my charts. I plan my flight, choose my charts, and the last thing I need to do before I can go flying is open the Project Fly. It's an online flight book for flight simulation. It's not a virtual airliner. With a virtual airliner you are pinned down to use their routes. That's nice if you really like flying for EasyJet or for other companies, but I like to be free. One day I fly Cargolux, the other day I fly KLM, I like to fly Air France, so I like to be free in choosing my destinations. You have a passport. I'm not going into detail of Project Fly. There are videos from the developers that explain how to use the Project Fly. It's a nice tool. The only thing I do now for the flight purposes, I will hit the booked flights, new booking. I will enter here the LDDU, Dubrovnik, and we go to ELLX, Luxembourg. And if you are lucky, it will find an existing flight in the database. If you're not lucky, like now, you hit the manual entry, you hit the LGL 416 here. It was the same call sign. The departure and arrival Zulu time I don't fill in, it's optional, you don't need to do that. I only check the departure and arrival is okay. It's a shuttle flight, IFR. Select the aircraft I'm going to fly. It's the Lima X-Ray Lima Golf Echo -8Q 400, and I'm going to fly this offline, but if you are flying FS Cloud, Tivau, Vatsimov, Pilot Edge, you can choose in the box below. And then you can hit book flight if you want to store it in your list, or book and dispatch. If you are ready to fly, you can import your flight plan. It's the same flight plan I used for my charts. It's the flight plan that has been saved in the prepared ready folder. And your booking is on top. You can hit the fly button and you can start flying. So this is basically how I plan my flights. I choose my flights by flight radar or by the FlightAware tool. Then I plan my complete flight in the PFPX flight planner, so that's Airsoft software. If this is already if all the info has been entered and the plan has been generated, I export it to the different folders. Choose my charts via the Navigraph tool and enter my booking into Project Fly, and I'm ready to fly the flight. So this is how I plan my flights in Flight Simulator. So if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. It means a lot to me to know if you like this content you have been seeing. Subscribe for those who didn't do so, and leave a comment. It's always interesting to see what other people think about the videos, or give me suggestions of things I need to show you or explain to you. So yeah, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and remember, be small, think big, and see you at the next time. Bye bye.